All right, welcome back you to second day of our admin training session, guys. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Before we start on our second day, and I hope everyone created your org and did your whatever we have sent you in our WhatsApp group. So, anyone having any issues or anyone faced any difficulties while doing the task? Do you have any questions or any blockers, guys? Then can I consider that everyone?
Yeah, I use this forum, guys. Until unless if you come back with any questions or like yes or no, make it interactive and utilize this Q&A session. Okay. If you are not comfortable with English, you can ask in like your regional. It's not a problem. Okay. But considering everyone, we are keeping it in English. But for questions, it's allowed like you can ask as you're comfortable. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Yashwant.
Yeah. So everyone created your own developer org and at least logged into your org and see how what are the tabs we have and what are the pages. Is that true, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. So any difficulties for anyone?
No.
Great. Okay.
no Ashwan.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So just a quick recap of what have you done in the last session. Uh, so we've seen what is Salesforce and how what is Salesforce CRM and how to create a developer org to learning Salesforce, and we've seen what are the different navigations we have in the Salesforce org after we logged in, and what we will be calling in the Salesforce ecosystem, the namings and everything, right? So a Salesforce is like, we are already we know that it's a Salesforce is a complete CRM, right? So today we will be seeing what we will be having like a kind of clouds, what type of clouds we have, and what how the Salesforce is storing the data. So these topics we will be going to see in today's session. So if you have any questions, guys, don't hesitate to ask any questions. You can also utilize chat. Either Balakrishnan or myself will interact with you, or in chat box, or you can also unmute yourself and ask in here itself. It's not you don't want to sit until the session completes. Feel free to ask your questions, guys. All right, let's jump into today's session. So we know that Salesforce is a CRM, right, which is a complete customer relationship management tool where we certain solutions are already inbuilt in the cloud application in the cloud. So we don't need to build anything to achieve a basic business requirement, business needs. So if you're about to start a business, you just need to do is you need to do a Salesforce buy Salesforce license and start on it, because that is the power of the CRM. We don't need to do any such basic requirements like, creating some setting up some database, doing something. So everything we used to see in other cloud applications, right? Either it's an Azure or anything. So we have to build our own application and do hosting in some other places, and then we have to maintain the database. So these things, as a CRM, Salesforce will be taking care of it on behalf of us. So we don't need to bother anything, as Salesforce is a CRM and it has a powerful CRM tool. So Salesforce is using a multi-tenant architecture. So multi-tenant architecture, I hope Few of you are already familiar with this word if you are working in the IT. If not, a multi-tenant architecture is nothing but like we will be having a single storage where everyone will be logging in, like our Amazon account, Amazon or something like that. Everyone will be logging into the same. So the same multi-tenant architecture is something like we will be having complete applications will be residing in the single database where everyone will be multiple users will be logging in. So how Salesforce multi-tenant looks like? So we have this these are the just image I have took from the Salesforce trailhead itself. These are the some of the applications that Salesforce is providing. I would say clouds. Salesforce clouds are applications that Salesforce is offering, and on top of it, the whatever we have like the data management, CRM data. So these information will be stored common for every user. It is not something will be changing for each and every user. Maybe the data will be varying based on the client, based on the user, but the managing the data and everything will be the same format for each and every customer. So Salesforce supports a lot of clouds that we have already discussed in the last session. So where multi-tenant architecture is, in simple words, we will be having a single storage that's sitting in the cloud where everyone will be using the same cloud, and in that particular database everyone will be having separate small set of piece of chunk that is at another org what we will be logging in and playing around it. That particular org will be again interconnected with the Salesforce database itself. So one org whatever we created yesterday last session, if you have a team of 10 people or 20 people, everyone will be using the same org. We don't need to create a separate org for each and every user and do changes. If you have a team of people and where you will be working in the same client, you will be creating a single org where you will be creating multiple users for the particular your team, and then you will be start working on it. So that's how our Salesforce CRM provides us. Okay, so these are the some cloud offerings that Salesforce provides on top of CRM tool. As we discussed in the last session, Salesforce is not something only meant for particular domain or particular area. So where you're going to start a business, as we said in the last session, we will be having a multiple areas to cover. Let's say a sales department, marketing department, service department. When I start some car manufacturing business, so I have to take care of sales. How many sales has been happened in this particular quarter or year, and then how many services. So after we sold something, we have to support them, right? So how many services are going to are happening in this particular 1 month or quarter. So what are the problems, so everything. So this we don't need to do anything out of the Salesforce. We have everything provided that we will be calling as cloud. So for each and every business problem, each and every area what you are going to work, we will be having a separate cloud. We don't need to go beyond the Salesforce to achieve a basic requirements. So you don't need to remember all these clouds, guys. Just information, there are so many clouds Salesforce has. And on top of this, I will listed few only here. And on top of this, Salesforce supports multiple applications to communicate with the Salesforce and from one to. So if Salesforce want to receive some data from other third party applications, and Salesforce also would like to send data from Salesforce to third party applications, so that's what we will be calling as integration. So there were so many other applications as well will talking to Salesforce daily based on the business requirement. So on top of all these clouds, mostly as a developer or admin, that based on depends on your project and requirement. Mostly we'll be working as a sales cloud, service cloud, and a community cloud. I wouldn't say that we will not be working on this until you have a project and you got assigned with something. You will be touching those guys, or else mostly most type of projects either kind of a sales cloud, a service cloud, a community cloud. So you can just, if you would like to start, maybe we will be like more focusing on these clouds going forward. And yeah, so these are the some clouds that we have offering from Salesforce. Okay, so we've seen what is Salesforce, and what is CRM, and what type of, like, Salesforce is dealing, right? So the biggest question for comes into our mind is, if you're building some application, right, where our data is going to be sitting. So that's what the main motto of building our application, right? Let's say you're building some application on either some other web technology, and you are hosting that. So you have to take care of your storage, where I'm going to store my customers data, because it's not something you will be storing in either some in your computer or in your client's computer. So it has to be secured, it has to be excuse me guys. So it has to be secure, and it has to be if someone is trying to access the data, it has to be fast while fetching the data or while you're manipulating the data. At the same time, you will not be storing the same data in multiple places, right? So where Salesforce will be storing the data, right? So when it comes to the Salesforce as a CRM, Salesforce will take care of storage as well. We don't need to build anything on top of the Salesforce for to store my data. And I don't need to take care of the data traffic, how many users will be hitting at the same time. Let's say thousands of users hitting at the same time on one particular record, or one particular row. Then I don't need to take care of it, because Salesforce will be taking care of on behalf of me. That's why we are paying. That's why Salesforce is a bit costly compared with other applications in terms of licenses. So Salesforce will be taking care of our data and data security, because the security is the most key for any customer, right? Because if someone is trying to if there is a chance of data steal, we will definitely not go to that particular application, right? That's how the real world it is. Because I'm storing my data and I'm going to lose my data, then I don't want to use that particular application. So Salesforce will be taking care of. We don't need to take care of anything on the data management side. So Salesforce will be taking care of it. How the data will be stored into the Salesforce, so what type of formats it is it will be going to store in some kind of Excel format, or it's going to store some kind of SQL. You might have heard SQL is a SQL format. What type of it is? Anyone has an idea what how Salesforce will stores the data? No. I heard a couple of people already having a Salesforce experience. All right. So for a simple understanding sake, let's take an Excel. This is what we are seeing in the screen is an Excel. This particular Excel has, let's say, I'm having this something called tab, where we can create multiple tabs, and I'm having some columns, first name, last name, email, and I'm having some rows, right? This is the typical Excel where we will be most familiar with it, right? So to convert this Excel, whatever we are seeing into our Salesforce, how Salesforce will be storing is this particular tab, whatever we are having, we will be calling this tab as an object in the Salesforce. Okay, so whatever however the tabs you will be created different tabs for your different data storages, we will be creating different objects. So each and every object has its own set of data. Then this is an object. Then the columns, whatever we have, the columns, right, the first name, last name, email, this we will be calling it as field. So Salesforce will contain this data will be stored in the Salesforce in objects format, where object will have set of fields. Okay, then each and every field it has separate names and different data types. We will be seeing that while creating the fields. Then so I have an object and I have a fields. So now how I'm going to store my data? So these rows, whatever we've seen in the rows, right, those rows are we will be calling in the Salesforce as records. So how whatever we see in the Excel, the tabs and columns and rows, the same format Salesforce will also do the data management. For tab we will be having a option called object to create set of objects, where based on your requirement and based on your to maintain the data, you will be creating separate objects, right? Then in that particular object, however you want to categorize your data, and you want to store the data in particular options or particular columns, for that we will be creating fields. And then so once the data and fields were created, object and fields were created, you will be creating a client will be a customer will be creating the data into the particular object. Okay, we'll see the same how we will be having in our Salesforce org too. Before that, we have a some Salesforce standard objects. As its CRM, it offers some standard objects for every org. For developer org, we will be having by default all the most of the objects based on the license. All these objects has its own unique purpose and its own functionalities, where we will be having these objects also be defined based on the cloud. We've seen sales cloud, service cloud, and some other clouds, right, marketing cloud. So each and every object has some objects are common objects and some objects are based on the cloud whatever we are using. Let's see what are the objects we have. Just a quick snap. So account, this account is something, either it's an company, right? So whenever let's take a business case. So you are going to start a manufacturing car manufacturing. Okay, now you are going to start a business, and you are entering into the Salesforce. So when it comes to the business, we will be dealing with multiple customers, either who are like a either customer or a partner. So everything, if you're dealing with a account a company, let's say I want to send 100 cars per year to so and so company, and I want to send some cars for this customer. So this information we will be storing in an object called account. The company whatever you are dealing with in your business case, that information will be stored in the account object of Salesforce. That's how typically we categorize our data. For that, we don't need to create any custom objects for minimum and basic requirements. Contact is nothing but in account we will be, if you are dealing with a multiple people, you will not be creating a different users for it. Instead we will be creating a contact, because contact is something under that particular account. So in a let's consider Mahindra Group. So in Mahindra Group, I'm dealing with 10 people in Mahindra Group. So what we'll be doing is, so we'll be creating a account called Mahindra Group, and then under that we'll be creating set of contacts. Then what is the lead? Lead is something, whenever you're starting a business, right? Initially, until and unless we have some customers already, we will not be directly able to start the business and sell to anyone, right? So before, let's say you manufacture your car and it's good, ready to deliver to your customer, no one maximum knows it until we do marketing, right? So that particular, after you do marketing and all the stuff and all on your area, then few people will be interested to talk to you and to know more information about the product. Then you should not be guaranteed that whoever inquired with you regarding the product will not be our end customer. He's not going to buy our product, right? So 100 people might have interacted with you regarding the details of the product, but end of the day maybe 10 people will be by your end customers. So that particular whoever will be interacted with you will be calling it as a leads. This is the leads is a general typical term in the business terminology. So lead is something before our customer stage, whoever before our customer, whoever just interacted with us or communicated with us, we will be creating a record in the lead. Opportunity, let's say you are dealing, opportunity is nothing but a deal. You are dealing, let's say with your Mahindra Group, you are dealing, okay, $100,000 for this quarter, and you will be maintaining that particular deal and all the information under that particular deal. Let's say what is the inventory and how many cars we will be sending, and how you are getting the data, so everything. So that particular deal will be stored in the opportunity object. So these are the some standard objects for each and every purpose we have by its own cloud. And another one another thing is case. So let's say you have you started your manufacturing business and then it's going good. Now you want to support your customers, so maybe 1 month or 2 months they will come back to you, hey, I have this problem, please sort out this, right? Then you have to support your customer. For that, we don't want to create another separate object, because if someone interact with you, I have a problem in this particular gearbox, or I have a problem in headlights, or I have a problem in the car engine, then we will be creating a record in the case object, where case will take care of it completely, what type of information and everything will be we will be storing in the case object. Then you have a set of team, let's say 10 people are working in your uh, organization, and then those 10 people will be separated in based on the maybe manager, maybe a team lead, maybe a developer, or maybe a manager or floor manager, and then maybe a floor engineer, we can call it as. So that particular hierarchy we will be maintaining, right? So let's say manager one, if some multiple people or multiple cases comes into the at a time, so you want to assign some tasks and delegate tasks based on the some priorities, right? So whenever you want to assign some task, we will be leveraging a task object. For event, let's say you want to create multiple, you want to organize some annual meeting, or some you want to schedule a meeting with the client. For that we will be using our calendars, right? Mostly in the same way, however we have a general calendar, we will be having something in the Salesforce as event, where it will be rendering in the calendar. So for that event object, we will be creating records in the event with so and so user and what are the information. So this document may this is something like storage of your company. So you will be storing the common data of your organizations company's information in the document object. This is the one of the storage object. And as I said in the earlier, we will be doing some marketings. For that marketing we will be using an object called campaign. So everything is completely built inside the Salesforce for every business case, every purpose. You don't need to go out of the Salesforce. So we have a standard Salesforce object itself. We just need to leverage it, and we just need to know how to use the object. So for which case I have to use the object. Okay, so we don't need to go and create for each and every purpose. You don't want to create a new object for existing use case itself. Let's say I want to create a task. So if someone asks you to, okay, how to achieve this problem, you should not be creating a new object until there is an existing object and it's not solving your problem. Okay, so first we should know what type of standard objects and what type of the purposes of standard objects. And then each and every standard object will have its own uh, functionalities, its own behavior. So based on that, if our problem and our solution is not fitting into that particular object, then only we should go for a custom object. All right, too much of theory. Yeah, I hear that too. So I just logged into my Salesforce org. We'll just see what type of objects we have in the Salesforce my org, whatever I created yesterday, and we can also visually see the records. So if you would like to see the objects that are available in the Salesforce, I told you in the last session, right? We will be, as a developer or admin, this setup screen is the most seen screen in the Salesforce for any of us. So in this setup screen, we have something called object manager. So if you click on that, we will be having completely the list of standard objects. If you see here the type, there is a type column, and this has all the standard objects. If I scroll down, you see there are around, I think, 20 to 30 standard objects. I think it's more than 30. Yeah. So we have inbuilt standard objects are already available. I did not do anything. All these were created through my org. So let's consider lead object, right? We have a lead. So lead will fall under the sales cloud, because whenever you are doing some sales, let's say you're doing some advertisements and everything, then people started approaching you. Hey, what is your product, and what are the qualities of it, what are the benefits of your product, and why should I choose your product? So all these questions, when people start interacting with you, those will be leads. So leads, why you are doing marketing? Because you want to sell your products. If you want to sell your product, then only customers or people will interact with you. Then that particular lead will only falls under the sales department. So this lead will be a sales department, sales cloud, falls under sales cloud, Salesforce cloud. Then case, we've seen in the before slide, case object, right? The case, whenever a customer having a problem, then I want to support my customer, then you will not be creating a case record for a lead whoever interacted with you. For that we need to create in a case object. So case will fall under the service cloud. So based on cloud also, we will be having objects. Objects will be varying. As a developer org we created in the last session, we will be having each and every object, and we will be having by default each and every cloud. But when customer is buying a Salesforce org and Salesforce licenses, they have to first, we have the client has to buy Salesforce org, then sales customer also want to should buy a sales cloud or service cloud. So two will be it's not something one will contain all the clouds. So org will have a different cost, the licenses what you are creating the users, and what type of business you are going to achieve will have it also have a different cost. So two will be having different costs. That's why Salesforce is a bit costly compared with the other products. All right. So yeah, back to this discussion. Each and every cloud has its own feature. So let's see what type of objects we have in our clouds, and we'll see how we are using the data. So now I want to,
Yes, I have a doubt.
okay.
So how do we categorize the objects? Like we have, as in the previous slide we have shown, so there are 15 plus objects, right?
Mhm.
So how do we categorize into in different sector in the sales, like as it is sales for sales, right?
Sales cloud,
Sales
yeah.
and yeah. So how do we categorize? Will that be default categorized in the tool, or do we need to do the?
Yeah, we don't need to do anything. When you buy a cloud, sales cloud or service cloud, based on the cloud we are going to buy, the objects will be available. Unless you buy sales cloud or service cloud, we will not see the lead object, case object, opportunity object in our org. So Salesforce itself take care of it.
And adding more point to the Yashwant one. So you will don't see any difference actually when you're looking at the data model. You don't see the difference, but you having like a further topic will be covered where you can see which are objects are related to sales and which are related to marketing. Basically, the next topic is apps. So in the apps, they all combine together, like they tie up together. Like what are all the objects that are part of a sales that will be tied together in an app. That's going to cover in few minutes. So there you can see which are all related to a sales. And if you go to a service app or service cloud, there you can see all the objects related to a service. But in the data model, where in the object manager, we will not categorize, or Salesforce will not categorize that. In the data model wise, it's a standard or a custom objects that is only defined there. But what are all the objects you wanted to keep it as a sales cloud that Salesforce decides and create one app for it and tie all of them together. Okay. Hold for a few minutes and it will be get covered. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. I think we are discussing about object. Yes. So this is the place we will be seeing all the objects, despite of cloud, despite of standard or custom. We will be seeing all the objects here, and it will have as a category as standard object or custom object itself. So as Balakrishna said, we will not see the difference of the object whether it's coming from sales cloud or service cloud in this screen. We will be seeing from different place. We'll see that. And as I said, the object for the customer, for the end customer who are buying the sales cloud, whatever the cloud you will be buying, only seeing the objects with respect to that particular cloud. Let's say I bought sales cloud, then in my object manager as well, as a customer, I did not create a developer org. Instead, I created an enterprise org where I buy I paid to the Salesforce, and I bought like one or two licenses. Then I only bought sales cloud. Then I will see the objects related to the sales cloud, which is, let's say, lead, opportunities, those things related to the service cloud. As I said, case is service cloud object. So that case object I will never see in my object manager, because it has its own cloud. So objects will also be available based on cloud only. So you don't need to bother about these clouds and everything, because our customer will be buying it, and we will be doing some configurations or development on behalf of our customer to solve some problems, right? So that's what we have in the objects. I think it's already 7:40. So before we go further, anyone having any questions, guys? All right, I don't hear any from anyone. So we'll start. uh, we'll go further once we have a quick break, guys. We'll be joining in our another 10 minutes. So let's have a quick break. You can either call it as a tea break or morning dinner or night, sorry, morning breakfast or night dinner. So whatever you will be calling, we'll be connecting back in another 10 minutes, guys. Yeah, welcome back to you guys. So we've seen how the Salesforce objects standard, or what are the type of different objects in the Salesforce, and where we will be seeing the objects. So let's take a simple object as everyone knows it, account. Account is something which will familiar with each and every user. So let's say I want to create some information related to my customer. So we'll be storing the data in the account object. So let's just, if you want to see what type of details we have and what type of fields, let's say we already discussed in the earlier session, data will be stored in the objects, and each object will contain set of fields. So first we'll see how what type of objects we have, what type of fields we have, and then we'll go back to the our original data. So what I did here is I just click on account. So this is the object manager. I click on account. If you want to see all the fields and what type of information we have, just click on the account. So in the left hand side we have so many other options. We will be playing all these in our future classes sessions. So if I want to see my information of my account object, so this is my account API name. So each object will have two different names. One is a label and API name. So this is something we have to remember. This is also something when you are creating a custom object, we will be choosing that. I'll will show that how you will be creating. But for now, just remember there is something called label and API name. So API name is something unique in the across the Salesforce org. Okay, so with this name only we could able to access our object in anywhere of our customization. If I want to see what are the fields available in my org, we'll click on fields and relationships, which will contain all the type of fields that I have in my org. So this account object, I did not create any of the field in this org after I created my org. All these fields were by default Salesforce provided object and fields, each and every field. So this is something, the power of CRM, where Salesforce will be providing set of basic needs to any of the customer. Okay, so I have so many information here. Maybe one familiar word for everyone is name field. So it has a name. So where it has a different data types, we will see all these in our upcoming sessions. So in short, data will be stored in the object format. Object will contain fields, where field will hold the each and every your data chunks. So however you've seen in the last slide, the columns, what are the columns we will be seeing right in the Excel. So that column is the field. So when you have a data, you will be anyway categorizing the data in the particular object. Let's say I have a user will have separate set of fields. So first name, last name, email. So each and every specification, that specification we will be creating as a field. Okay, so now we will let's see how a real data of account is stored in the Salesforce org. So this is the setup screen. I would say setup is something, maybe if not familiar to the IT or Salesforce, sorry, IT industry, maybe this setup you can call it as a settings, some settings in our mobile phone. We have a settings icon, right? It's kind of a settings, whatever we have in our mobile, that the same similar way you will be configuring everything in your mobile in the settings, right? The same way we will be calling it as a setup in Salesforce. Then this app launcher, which is the name itself indicates apps. So in our mobile we will be having a set of applications, right? So settings in general, settings we will be maximum seeing maybe twice or thrice or maybe less than 10 times in our complete mobile usage. But applications, either a WhatsApp or some social accounts, we will be visiting daily, right? So that particular applications, all the applications, either it's a social media application, every application we will be, however we will be categorizing in our mobile, or we are seeing in our mobile. If I want to see the same applications that my org contain, so why we will be having a set of applications? So each and every application has its own job to do. So some Facebook has its own job, WhatsApp has its own job. The same way Salesforce also categorized some standard applications, as well as you also can create some applications. Okay, so if I want to see what type of applications, this is the icon we will be calling as app launcher. So whenever we click on that, I can see all the applications, uh, recently opened applications will be visible here. If you want to see all the applications, click on view all. This is the applications we already seen in the last session. We'll have all these Salesforce standard applications. Okay, so first now let's see what is sales app. Sales app contains, so it has so many objects, so many tabs. This everyone every set of this we will be calling it as a tab. These tabs also can be configured. Everything in the screen, whatever we are viewing, can be configured. It is not something, this is how it will be rendered. There's nothing something like that. We can change based on your requirement the tabs, or if I want to change these tabs back and forth, you can also do that. Okay, we'll see one by one. First let's see how the real data looks like, right? So let's say the object we've seen before is the account. So let's click on account. So there's something called recently viewed. As I said in the last session, by default standard objects will be created, and along with the standard objects some data also be imported by Salesforce itself. So these are the some test data. There's nothing real-time data. If you want to see the data, this is what we will be calling as views. So under the object name we have something called recently viewed, right? This particular we will be calling as views. So how recently viewed, till now I did not visit any of the account, that's why it is blank, it is not showing anything. If you want to see your data despite of user, and what are the accounts which I created, we have a set of views. So let's say I'm selecting all accounts. So this is all accounts is something which will bring complete data from the Salesforce account object. Okay, so this has 13 items inside this account object. So let's open one record. So let's see here, if you see here, look at this, this is now looking like a kind of an Excel format. So this account, maybe you can match this with an object tab here, and every field we have something in the columns in the Excel, and Up to here, this is something we will be calling as objects and fields, and these 13 records are the real time, I mean original data. Whatever you create the account object or the fields, we will be calling it as metadata. So object will have data and metadata. Data is nothing but whatever you will be storing your data. Metadata is how you are going to store your data. You are defining what type of object, what type of fields. All these will be calling it as metadata. All right, so let's click on one account. So in this screen as well, I did not do anything. I just click on account name where it has so many information to render and so much of UI by default configured. I did not do anything on this screen. Okay, so this is some account information. So this is my, what are the name, I clicked on the account. So it has some data and it has some actions on the right hand side, either view, edit, new contact, new case. So we'll see that one by one. And I have some shades. I'll also come with this now. For now, let's see the details. So as I said, however, you're creating account, right? So this account information. So this is the name of account. All this account information will be under the details tab. So these tabs also can be configured. There's nothing hard coded or there's nothing. This is only the UI you have to use. There's nothing something like that. Anything can be configured in the UI, whatever we are rendering, whatever we are seeing. Okay, if I see here, there were some fields we have here, something with account name. All the fields, whatever I am seeing in the screen, are standard fields and inbuilt provided by the Salesforce. So I have address fields here, the billing address. So whenever you are dealing with the account is nothing but you will be dealing with your customers. So he is your either person or a company. So company will have its own address information, right? Address, phone, fax, everything. So all these, the basic needs, every basic need of a business will be already justified and satisfied here. You don't need to take care of anything until you have your own business requirement, uh, to make some changes, and to do some extra additional information, additional configuration. Then you will be creating our custom fields. We'll see how to create custom fields in later on sessions. So this is how typically a original record will look like in our account object. So before we go further, any questions guys from anyone? Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, Ashwin.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So this is how typical an account record looks like. So we'll also create how we'll be how to create a account record as well. We'll see that. But before that, I just want to bring some relations, not in the Salesforce point of view, not in even in the technical point of view. In general, whenever you are dealing with some account, a customer, he will have set of, let's say you're dealing with some company, Mahindra group. So you will not directly deal with the Mahindra group company. So you will be creating a one account record with the Mahindra group. Under that, we will be having a persons where we will be interacting with, maybe a point of contact we can call it as, right? Who, if I want to talk to the with some Mahindra group information related to the what type of deals and everything, we will be calling it as contacts in Salesforce, or not in general, we'll be calling it as contacts, right? Under the particular account, all those contacts and the dealings, whatever I'll be dealing with the Mahindra group, everything will be comes under that particular Mahindra group. So if I want to view what is the information. Let's say this Burlington Textiles Corporation of America, this is the company. So I want to see what type of uh, information, let's say either a deals or the contacts. So what are the dealings I am dealing with this account, and what are my contacts if I want to interact with anyone, everything. You don't need to go out of this particular account. We can see the child's or the records will linked with this particular account can be viewed from this page itself. That is something will be under the related tab. As I said, these tabs also be configured. It don't need to be the same naming, you can also change to your own name. So here this contact is linked to this particular account, which is something called as, this is the parent record of account having a child of this Jack Rogers. So if I want to deal with this particular account, so when I want to contact to this account, so I need a point of contact. To whom should I contact? That contact information will be available under this account. So you don't need to go to the different tab if you want to see the child records. So this is the parent and child. We'll talk this parent and child more in the future sessions. So this is the screen where we can see all the child records under this particular account. Okay, so if you want to attach something here, let's say I want to link some files here underneath this, so we can attach from here. So these are the some of the childs. Is nothing something like stick with or limited to the only particular child records. So you can also create our own relationship, as well as we can also add some more relationships into the screen. Okay, so this is a high level overview of our account original record in the Salesforce and the child records underneath that. So this all this account tab I am seeing under the my sales application. Okay, this sales is we will be calling as app in the Salesforce. So this sales contains set of tabs. So if I want to organize this, let's say I want to change this accounts tab to the first place, let's say after the home, I want to by default to change this order, we can also do that. So in the right hand side we can see something pencil icon, right? On click of it, so here you can drag and drop this order from top to bottom, and you can place anywhere else. So these are not the stick tabs, as I said, anything can be configured. So if you want to add more items, we can also add from here. So we'll see the how to create application time. So this is how you can change your application tabs, and you can see the default sales app tabs here. Okay, so now let me if I want to view a service cloud service application, so service is something default provided by Salesforce itself. So let's I want to view what type of information under the service cloud. So let's click on service. Either this will show the recent items. You can also search here. Let's say I want to open sales, you can search here, or you can also click on view all, where you will be viewing an app launcher, will contain complete list of applications, and you will see from here. So I click on service, so I just came to the service application. So if I want to see accounts tab, so this is something I said, as I said, I viewed this account record. That's why it is showing in the recently viewed. If I want to go to my all my accounts, it will be rendered. Application is something. It is not your data will be categorized. Application is something the usage. Let's say you are dealing with a sales department, service department. You don't want to have sales department information in the service and service department in the sales, kind of a organizing the folders, right? So in our computer we used to organize our folders. So maybe we'll be having some documents, maybe we'll be having some recordings, everything will be organizing into certain folder. That folder, whatever however we organize for our ease of access. So I don't want to search through my computer to get something data, right? So we'll organize to make our job easy and to get my data easy. So the same way applications does the same job. It will organize set of objects where how you will be dealing with based on your requirement, based on your access, based on your how you would like to see the data. We can organize the objects in the or application. So we'll see how to create an application, and I want to organize my data. So now I've seen we have seen sales application, service application, where sales has so many tabs, maybe around 10 to 12 tabs. I did not notice that. Sales has, let's consider 10 tabs. Service has 1 2 3 around 7 tabs. So Salesforce organized based on the usage. So this is general usage. So service will be dealing with the case object, and case will be linked to the respective account, and what are the information will be under the cases under the account can be viewed from the account itself. So this is common basic need. So that's why Salesforce configured my sales service application with 7 tabs. If I go to sales, so sales has around 10 plus, right? So it has so many information to deal with. So it has some accounts, it has opportunities, leads, tasks, everything, right? Now I don't want to see any of the tabs, and I want to see only accounts and contacts by default. Whenever I would like to access only accounts contact information, then based on that, based on account information, I'll be switching to the my application. Okay. If I want to see only accounts and contacts, where I couldn't able to achieve with any of the standard apps, because as we've seen only couple of applications with the sales and service. Sales has 10 plus tabs, service has 7 plus. So now I want to view only account information, contact information. Let's say maybe you're having a hierarchy. You're working with 10 people, and you're having a hierarchy, a manager, and your subordinates, everything, right? Now manager would like to see all the information, what are the dealings you are doing, and whatever the you know complete uh, data of that particular account can be viewed by manager. When you have your sales rep is something, whoever the sales guy who are dealing with our sales department. So I want to give him access to only my account and contacts. Let's consider just a scenario for a discussion sake. I want to give him an access to only account and contact. I don't want to show him how much amount I am dealing with this account, right? Because no one in the real world will express every data to the subordinates. That's how the security secrecy will be maintained, right? So let's say I'm dealing with the Mahindra group with $1 million. I don't want to expose that to the my all the sales reps. Maybe I'll expose that to the my manager, and the maybe a floor manager or someone will be directly contacting with the Mahindra group. So I'm giving I want to expose only account information, contact information to the particular sales rep. How we'll be achieving that? So as I see sales application, I have a 10 plus tabs where it has everything. I don't want to I don't want to expose that, and I don't want to use that. I have a service also has some other different objects, cases, and everything. I don't want to expose this as well. Now I want to show only accounts and contacts. Then we can also create our own custom application to organize data. It is something just creation of the folder in our computer. So how we will be creating our application? So as I said, the setup is completely for us. In the gear icon in the right hand side, this is the setup icon. If we click on that, it has some popover and it has something called setup. If you click on that, it will navigate back me to the setup screen. As I said, this has set of features and set of multiple operations to do in the screen. So I don't want, you don't want to remember each and everything here and what is the usage of it, but we need to know a basic needs of whatever we are dealing with as an admin or as a developer. So to create an application, that will be all the applications whatever we are having here, right? Sales service, everything will be under the something called application manager, app manager. So in the quick find, if we type app manager, that will be stored under the apps. If you want to directly open this, just scroll down, you can see something called platform tools, right? Under this you have something called apps. Under this there is something called app manager. If you not remember, you don't want to buy out this as well, if you not remember this particular path, applications, app manager and everything, you can simply just type app manager here. So app manager is something just to manage what type of applications we have in our Salesforce org. So all these are standard applications created by Salesforce. I did not do anything again here. So if you see here, this is our sales app. There might be different names. So this is the sales app and something called service as well. So these are the by default Salesforce created for me. Right now, as I said, I want to expose only few set of data to my customer, sorry, my sales rep. So I want to create a new application where I couldn't able to solve that with standard applications. So we can create our own folder, our own application, and organize our required objects and required information. Okay, so to create an application, in the right hand side there is something called new lightning app. So just a heads up, or just to remember and remind, whatever we are viewing the UI, we will be calling it as lightning. Okay, and we'll see what we have other names, we'll just show in the last. But just remember, this is something, the UI whatever you are viewing is something called lightning. So this the UI and the data will be that lightning fast. That's how the Salesforce named it as a lightning. Okay, so click on new lightning app. So here now I can give my own name and own this thing to my application. So app name, so I want to provide some application name, as we've seen in the sales and service. So let me give some sales rep. Okay, I have just given the sales rep. Developer name, as I said, each and every whatever you're creating or configuring in the Salesforce will have a two namings. One is something we will be calling as name or label, and another thing can be called as developer name or API name. This is something unique across the applications, whatever you're creating. It has to be unique, and it has certain formats. Okay, you don't need to take care of this developer name anytime you populate. You just need to populate name, developer name or API name, all mostly populates automatically. Okay, description, so if you want to provide description, you provide. Have a best practice or have a habit of populating description always. Application for sales rep. Okay, so if you want to have your own logo,
Yes.
sorry.
When you have entered app name as sales rep, So
Mhm.
by default, developer name has taken as sales underscore rep. So will that be captured by default, or do we need to enter?
Yeah, it will be automatically populated by Salesforce. If you want to change, you can change, but by default it will be populated. Yes, either,
Thanks.
yeah, either developer name or API name, whatever you are creating, mostly all the scenarios it will be populated, because it will not support some spaces and it will not support some special characters. That's why Salesforce will take care of it on behalf of us. So I just populated app name, developer name is automatically populated. I populate description, application for sales reps. If I want to change my logo, I can also change here. I don't think I have something, maybe something called this. Well, let's take this. I'm not sure how it runs this. Okay, so I have chosen my logo, so you can also change your branding. So this is how it's going to look like after I created my application. So we've discussed there is something called app launcher, right? In the app launcher, this is how it's going to render. Okay, so next, so it has a certain stages actually to create a lightning application. So first thing is the details, what type of application details and branding. You don't need to remember the namings as well, you can see as we go on. So the first screen, you can also see the path. There's complete a widget format where you can also just do in by just simple clicks. Okay, so I just given my name, description, and I've chosen my logo. Click on next. So what type of app it is? Okay, so for now, we don't need to bother about all this. Just remember there is some kind of a navigation called standard. You can just leave as it is, whatever it's populated. There's something called standard navigation. So whatever we are viewing currently and whatever we've seen is something called standard navigation. And as we already seen in the demo, Salesforce supports desktop, phone, and tablet. So tablet, that also be varied automatically to the desktop or phone. So you can choose which type I should support this application, either desktop and phone. If I want to choose only desktop, you can choose desktop, or if you want to support only this application to mobile. So this is something you're creating a folder. To whom should I to available to, either it's should be available only in the phone or should in the desktop. So for now, I just left as it is by default option. I did not change anything. Okay, I click on next. Then utility items, you can also leave it as it is blank. We'll see moving forward. So you can also click on next as it is. Then this navigation items, I told you, right? We already seen in the how to change our navigations. So whatever we have, we are seeing in the this screen. This is we will be calling as tabs and the navigations. So this is reports tab or dashboards, accounts, everything. So here, as I said, I want to show only accounts and contacts to my sales reps. So you can see all the default available items here. You don't, if you want to remember, you can remember here by looking at the tab, or you can just type here. So as I said, I just want to show only accounts. So click on this accounts, same like simple selection. Click on accounts, click on this, it will be available here. It will be shown under the select items. Now I want to show contacts. So click on contacts, select that, click on this, move this to the select items. That's it. If you want to change your order, you can also change from here, top and bottom. You can also play around it. So this is the screen. These are the tabs where my application is going to hold. These are the tabs my customer is going to see. My uh, sales rep representative will going to see these only, these information only. Okay, so I have choose an account and contact. So you can choose your own tabs and objects here. Then click on next. Here, this is something, will not be diving it deeper now. I'll just say what it is, the profile. whenever you are creating a user, right? So let's consider in the real time, in the real scenario, you will be having something called CEO, and you will be having under CEO, maybe you will be having as a managers, and under the manager maybe associate manager, assistant manager, then you will be having your employees, right? So you will not be creating a record, an employee with a CEO profile. Profile means it is something how you would like to set your restrict your employee or a user to see what type of data. In simple words, you will be defining your employee, your user role, and what type of usages he is going to do in the Salesforce. So these profiles will also have a standard profiles as well. If you want to leverage, you can leverage, or you can also create custom profile. We'll see the profiles in the later on sessions, but just now remember there's something called profiles. Each and every user will have a profile. It's nothing but their job will be defined completely in the profiles. So what type of he can access, what everything, there's a complete a different topic, the profiles. We just don't want to dive now. Okay, so as I said, sales rep only can see accounts and contacts. So I'm saying a sales rep will have a separate user, and he will be assigned with a separate profile, right? So that I can configure, so sales rep will only see these applications, so everything can be configured. So for now I'm selecting, as I did not create any profile, I'm selecting my system admin user. So system admin is the default profile, will be assigned to the user which we created from our sign up screen. So system administrator will have high privileges, he can do anything in the org. So be careful guys, with the system administrator, don't play with the system administrator while you are doing in the your client's org. So system administrator can do anything, so you have to define your role with respect to the user properly. So system administrator is the one which is by default assigned to the created user. So he is the highest privileges in the org, system administrator. Okay, so we'll also see the profiles in the upcoming sessions guys, then we'll dive deeper there. Okay, now as I selected my object, I can also select the same here to the right. That's it. So it has few widgets, I've done that, and click on save and finish. So my application is created, which is I create a folder to contain to hold my set of subfolders, right? So if you want to see that application, we have to go to the app launcher. It will not be, if you're not listed here, you can type here sales rep, or I can also see from this screen, view more or view all. Either you can type here as well sales rep, or you can just scroll down and see here as well. So this is the application I created. Click on that. Then see, it has the only tabs I have assigned, right? Accounts and contacts is visible now. So with this, the folder structure, the applications creation, we can also manage what type of objects and organize complete our business case with respect to our requirement. So here I just organized two tabs to be visible to the sales rep application. So this is how we can create our custom application, and these are the applications we've seen before, are the Salesforce standard applications. So before we close for the day, anyone have any questions guys?
What questions like? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Ashwin.
Yeah,
I have a question.
yeah.
Um, We are creating the custom application, right? Can we restrict other users from seeing that application or seeing the data in that application?
Yes, we can.
Is that by role hierarchy?
Uh, don't need to be the role hierarchy. It can be. We can also can configure through the profiles itself, as I shown you the before.
Yeah, it's kind of like too early to know actually now.
Okay.
So we can restrict, but the app is basically to have what are the functionalities we wanted to put it together. That's what the app, and the security will be just a different one. It's not related to the app, but we have some restrictions that we can configure at app level, but we're going to discuss in coming sessions.
Okay, thank you.
And any more questions, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
So previously, we have selected two apps, right? One is sales and one is service. So when we selected service, we have more than 10 objects, right? And in the sales, we have like 7 objects. But in the service, we have an option at the right side corner. We have a edit symbol, like a pencil mark. But in the sales, we can't see, there is no such option. Right?
Okay.
It is, yeah. So what it is it's a personalized configuration. So what it does was, so once you created an app and whatever the like sales cloud or like service cloud, so you have in sales cloud also available here, you can see it's called a personalization. So you are the admin, you are configuring the apps. So and you will give access to some of your users like sales reps or like managers or sales leads. There will be different roles in your Salesforce org. And they are not happy. Like they wanted to see the second tab has to be a reports. If it's a manager, if it's sales reps, they wanted to leads to be a first tab. Why? Because their work is mostly on leads. They don't want to switch again. So based on their role, they wanted to configure on their own. So what will happen if you configure your app using that pencil icon? What will happen? The changes will be applicable to you only for you, not for the entire app. So whatever we configure on an app, that will be applicable for all users. And this pencil is to use for an individual to personalize this app as per their comfort. And this is also again admin choice. If you want to allow users to personalize, then you can do it. If you don't want to other users to personalize this app, you can remove this pencil symbol. So while creating the app itself, you will be having some checks over there. You can use that, and either you can allow or you can restrict the users.
So admin will have an option to provide access for the only few particular roles in the organization, not for everyone. It's up to him. Either he want to give or he don't want. If they request, he can approve. But if they don't require, he can remove the option, right?
Exactly. So suppose if we created one app, right, sales app.
Yeah.
So go to a sales app. Ashwin. So there we see a pencil icon. That means I'm allowing any users, like it could be any user, to allow a personalization. So what he can do, he can add more items to here, or he can like shuffle, like which is first, which is second. I can do that. So it's up to me. Suppose H1 is one of the user now. Similarly, there will be some more users also using the app. So if they wanted to see contacts first, so what he can do, like, can be more contacts to first one. And say you have to know contact is my first tab. But if I look at a configuration, still accounts is my first tab. So this personalization is individual and that will be applicable to that person only. So what admin can control is stop personalizing for individual or allow a personalization. So if we go to app manager, there we can see a control over there. You can go to app manager once and we'll see that control.
Then Yes, if you don't mind, could you please select service?
Yeah, okay.
See here, there is no option on the right side.
So we can see that message, right? So this
Yeah.
this is what something Bhala is saying, where admin can able to define should I allow my customer to change the tabs and the personalization or not.
So here we
But
don't have
we
a
have the,
pencil, right?
yeah.
So how we can like in service it is not personalized, and in sales it is saying a personalized. Okay, if I'm creating a new app and how I can control it, where I can control it.
That
So
is
if you go
setup.
to that, yeah, in setup where we created this app manager, right?
App manager. Yeah.
So there itself, if you go to the same app, for example, the sales rep what we created now, if you go to that one and edit the last 15 one. If you edit it, there, go to the app options. Here you can see that is app personalized settings. So
Yes.
disable end user personalized of a navigation item. So what will happen if I save this one? Now I don't see the pencil icon. So everybody has to use as is. They cannot personalize it.
Okay.
If it answers your question on why it is there when it is not there, it's up to you how you can configure as an administrator. This service and sales are standard apps provided by a Salesforce. So Salesforce has given that, and if you want, you can change on your custom apps. See, now you don't have any pencil icon. And again,
Yes.
the order has been changed for me. Previously, I set as a contact, but again, it came to accounts as a customer.
Account. Yeah.
Yep. See, all you have to do was explore, like whatever the navigation we are explaining, explore
Yeah.
everything, like whatever the options you see and whatever things that you see, just explore and raise your doubts. Then you'll be getting a more. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, good one. And try to focus on all the tasks that we're going to share. And we're going to share today's tasks that need to be completed by tomorrow. And see, it's not only like the task need to be done. So whatever it has been shown in the session, you have to go to the each and every navigation. And on top of it, we're going to repeat the same thing with the different options in your task. Okay. And some of the tasks will be which are not explained here, so you need to come back. Okay, you need to come back with your questions. Some of them may be covered in your coming sessions, but we want you to think about like what it is, how to do it. Then only it will keep you more interesting for the coming sessions. Okay. Okay, if you have any questions you can ask, or you can close for the day and connect on Friday. Which one do you want to add anything?
No, but that's all from my end too.
Okay.
All right, guys, then we'll see you on Friday. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.